This episode is brought to you by Castle Rock Portal Closing Service. Have you opened one or more portals to an alternate dimension only to find out that all the alternate dimensions suck? Are you tired of giant bugs, Lovecraftian leviathans, and evil versions of you in a mustache ruining your day? Well, call up Castle Rock Portal Closing Service, and they'll come over and give you a free estimate on sealing up your portal so you can finally get rid of those pesky interdimensional interlopers. Go to castlerockportalclosingservice.com and request your free quote today. Use code HMT to get a discount on temporal paradox resolution. Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk.
An opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Go, 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 go.
I just had to stroll through the scraggly woods.
He had no face!
Horror!
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
New theatrical releases always get priority.
But we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible.
Wow, that didn't sound good.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk. Your panel of expert hosts this week, each week. Fuck.
Keep it moving.
Are me. I'm Dr. Bryce Hanson. I hold a PhD in spookology, and across from me sits...
I'm Dr. David Day, the foremost expert in scare no-nos. You should know that Bryce just woke up. So that's what's going on right now. It's not a big deal.
I was up till 2 for no apparent reason.
Ugh.
Like, I finished the movie and this outline at, like, 11.
You just stayed up longer? What were you doing?
I don't know. Masturbating, probably. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyways, the new theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies with good and horrible. Okay, so we got a great show today. We'll be reviewing The Mist. This is as requested by our patrons.
They get to request one movie for us to review a month, and then they vote on it, and this is what happened. Mm-hmm. And man, am I glad. I've always loved this movie.
This has been probably the most enjoyable week of movie watching for a long time.
Oh, yeah. So we also watched The Last House on the Left from 1972 for a Patreon exclusive. So it's only that review's only gonna be available on Patreon, and so it was definitely an experience.
Yeah. I mean, you may be wondering, like, wow, they're really talking about patron exclusive perks a lot. Are they money grubbing whores?
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Go join our Patreon. Okay. So a cool thing you might not know about the podcast, in addition to our Patreon, is that we have the best horror community out there. It's on Facebook. Our Facebook group is fantastic, and you'll meet many like-minded whores. Unpretentious horror lovers. Right. Go to our website, horrormovietalk.com, to find all the links to the things. We do second Saturday watch parties on Stream Lounge.
I'm super excited about this next one. January 8th, we got Kate from Nightlight Horror Movie Club coming on to our Stream Lounge. She's going to co-host the second Saturday watch party. So all you got to do is make an account over at streamlounge.io, and we'll watch a movie either on Netflix, HBO, or Shudder. So, yeah. So, that'll be a fun thing.
Yeah. We usually choose it last minute because we forget every time that there is a second Saturday in the month. But yeah, stay tuned and join us on the 8th. We also have a Twitch channel, social media, blah, 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 blah. We post new episodes every Wednesday. If you want to give us a call and possibly hear yourself on an episode, to leave a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. If you're new to the program, we start out by giving a brief synopsis and review, and then we give the movie a score from 1 to 10, 1 being a miserable dredge, 10 being so good it transcends genre boundaries, and 5 being a perfectly average film that hits all the expected marks. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers. So if you just want to hear our impressions on the movie and a little bit about the movie to decide whether you want to watch it or not, you can pause the podcast and go watch it and then come back and listen to the spoilers. Later on, we'll be playing a game and then having our voicemail listening session. The game is called Don't Blank on the Blank.
I remember this game.
This one?
Yeah, this is a fun one.
We'll explain more what that is when we get to it, and then we'll listen to our voicemails from you guys. So we watched The Mist this week, and it left me mystified.
Boo. Boo. Here's the trailer.
Whoa. Mom, Dad, you gotta come see. The boathouse is so bad. You just gotta... Come on. Whoa.
Having spoken, the doomsayer departs.
Come on.
Why don't you get Billy dressed? I'll take him into town with me. Hit the store before it gets all bought out.
How'd you folks hold up in the storm?
Big insurance day.
Sorry to hear that.
What's going on?
It's death.
Something in the mist! Shut the doors! Shut the doors!
The only way we're going to help ourselves is to seek rescue.
Tie this around your waist.
Before.
Well, let us know you got at least 300 feet.
There's nothing out there. Nothing in the mist.
What if you're wrong?
Then I guess the joke would be on me.
It is time to take sides. Read the good book. It calls for blood.
Guys, I hear something.
Are those bugs?
Not like any I've ever seen. The entire front of this store is plate glass.
Promise you won't let the monsters get me.
What were you guys messing with up there?
I thought that there were other dimensions. They wanted to try and make a window.
Well, maybe your window turned out to be a door.
Who she's gonna sacrifice to make it all better?
We want the boy.
You try it.
Kill him!
Rawr.
Rawr. Rawr.
So, The Mist can be found nowhere streaming, really. You got to rent it on all the places that you rent things.
That's true. That is true.
So, Thomas Jane plays husband and father, Mr. David Drayton, who after a storm heads into town for supplies to repair damages to his house. He takes his son and his neighbor along with him, and soon they are trapped in the grocery store by a mysterious mist that contains untold horrors.
And it goes on like this.
Many of the townsfolk don't heed warnings and mistakenly decide to venture out. The remaining occupants increasingly mistreat each other, and the social order begins to break down. When one religious fanatic begins to misteach others that this is all caused by an angry God, many make the misstep to become followers. This film is one of the most shocking endings in horror, sure to leave you misty-eyed.
Okay.
This was my first viewing of The Mist, and I wish I could have gone in completely blind, but 14 years is a long time to expect an ending not to be spoiled. Even knowing the ending, I was pleasantly surprised by how engaging the film was from the outset. Frank Darabont, the director, which you might know from
such incredibly impressive films as The Shawshank Redemption
and The Green Mile, all of which, including this one, are Stephen King adaptations.
Yeah,
it's kind of his thing.
Yeah, it's. I mean, in terms of horror-driven Stephen King adaptations, I think The Mist is probably the best.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
I mean, you got the 2017...
I'm trying to think of, like, Pet Sematary. I'm like, nope, it's not as good as this one.
Yeah, no. You got the 2017 It is great for what it is, but it's just not this... It doesn't transcend... I do think The Mist does transcend the genre of horror.
Yeah. So, yeah, Frank Darabont wastes no time establishing strong characters and relationships that are familiar and believable. This is a pretty simple concept for such a long movie, but it's highly engaging because there are several times where the story shifts gears and presents new problems other than don't go outside. There is the obvious threat of what lies in the mist, but the story delves into several different sources of dread, such as fear itself, superstition, mistrust, and helplessness.
Yeah, it really leans heavily into relationships and the terror of kind of crowds, you know, like
right, mob mentality,
yeah, and just coercion by by your peers.
Yeah, so the zombie genre has evolved into a mechanism to hold a mirror up to society, and this movie does that, but with more interesting and mysterious monsters.
Yes.
It's basically like Dawn of the Dead, except...
compelling.
Yeah,
right?
except, the monsters are still interesting.
Yeah, not to say that Dawn of the Dead isn't interesting or compelling, but... the zombie genre, I think we can all agree, is one we're so familiar with that it's kind of just a vehicle now.
Yeah. I mean, you watch The Walking Dead and you're like, wow, this is a really interesting show. And then you realize, like, you haven't seen a zombie in, like, 5 episodes. It's like, oh, it's because they'd never focus on the zombie.
Because that's not the interesting part. Yeah. And this now is it makes that part that's not interesting in zombie movies interesting again.
Right. The special effects don't quite hold up, but they aren't so bad as to distract from the high quality of the writing, directing, and acting. I really enjoyed this film, and I think it's not to be missed.
Oh, God. Yeah, what score do you give it?
I mean, this is... Yeah, this is perfect. For what it is, I can't find any fault with it. I give it a 10 out of 10.
I totally agree.
Because I think it does kind of transcend the genre in quality and concept.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's really a fabulously done and executed in every way.
Yeah.
You know, I hold it in a... This is the second or third time I've seen this movie. I used to catch it on TV, you know, when it would come up. What are you doing?
Is that yours? Okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
I used to catch it on TV a couple times, you know, and then, you know, I've watched it a few times, and every time I have this like aura of like, oh, what a goofy fun movie. But every time I watch it, it's like, oh no, this is really well done.
Yeah.
And the acting is great. I really hate the people you're supposed to hate in the moment you're supposed to hate them.
Yeah.
I really empathize with the people who, you know, are doing the thing that I would do, you know, and then...
Right.
And the problems they have are so perfect. You know, it's like, okay, we're stuck in a grocery store. Well, every grocery store has a pane glass window front, and this is no different. And then they have to solve for that problem. And you know, there's this thin veneer of this store separating you from total chaos.
Yeah, untold terrors.
Yes, untold terrors. And it just works. Every part of this movie just works really well. And I would even go so far as to say that with a few small exceptions, this does what Tremors does, which is provides a perfect summation. Anything it brings into the story, it then concludes in a satisfactory way. There's no superfluous details so much. There are a few here and there.
I think the only thing I would point to is there's some open-endedness to it. Like, you don't know what happens to some people.
Yes, and that's fine for me because it's The Mist. You know, it's supposed to be mysterious. Right. And yeah, I totally agree. This movie is, and not only all those things, but it's accessible for a much broader audience than most horror. I think that because this is mostly a drama with monsters, it opens itself up to a much wider audience.
Yeah,
and so it's great.
Yeah, so glad one of the rare situations where we agree perfectly.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Another area that we agree perfectly on is nightchannels.com. Night Channels is where you can get some fantastic, unique genre wear. They specialize in horror, metal, occult, alternative, and literature.
Shirts and hoodies.
Prints of, on shirts and hoodies. And if you go to nightchannels.com and just browse, I guarantee you're going to find something that you want. And when you do, use code HMT at checkout to get 13% off, the scariest percentage.
That's right. We call that the Night Channels Challenge. All you do is just hop on the site, take a look around, and then, then close it out. See if you don't come back. You will. And when you do, that HMT code is going to save you some dough.
Yeah. It's really fun to browse because it's got the ones you expected, like Alien and, some of the hard-hitting horror movies, but alternative artwork, not just the same poster you see every time, but also some real deep cuts, like Vampiros Lesbos, and some like obscure B-movie cult classics.
Yeah.
So yeah, go check them out at nightchannels.com. We really appreciate them, and we want you to appreciate them too. Also, another sponsor is Shudder.com. You probably know what Shudder.com is. It's a horror movie streaming service. It's basically the Netflix of horror. If you go to Shudder.com and use code HMT at checkout, or when you sign up, you'll get a 30-day free, I said free, trial to Shudder.com. And that's way better than their regular 7-day free trial. Lots of good stuff on Shudder.com. Some movies you're not going to find streaming elsewhere, and lots of
tons of originals.
Yeah,
tons of originals. If you haven't hopped on to Shudder and watched Channel Zero, the show over there, or Creep Show, man, you're missing out on some primo streaming horror content. And They like to call themselves the Netflix of horror, and they aren't kidding. You're not going to find any fluff in among all the offerings over at Shudder.com. And when you enter HMT, you do get that 30-day free trial to test it out. And that's how confident they are that their stuff is going to be up to snuff and that you're going to stick around.
Mm-hmm. If you're listening to this commercials and you're starting to get bothered by how long they're taking, you should know that you don't have to.
That's on you.
We have a certain tier on Patreon where we cut out all the commercials and also release the episode as early as we edit it. So check us out on patreon.com/horrormovietalk. If you are looking for a Horror Movie Talk logo tee, go to our shop on horrormovietalk.com/shop. Also, if you love the artwork that is attached to our episodes, check out Dustin Goebel on Instagram. His handle is at dgoebel00, at DGOEBEL00 on Instagram. He takes commissions, and he is probably too affordable, to be honest, and he's very busy. So
it's questionable about whether or not you're going to be able to book him. So yeah. I don't even know if you should bother. But you know what you should bother doing is taking a look at his stuff.
Mm-hmm. And follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
If you want to leave us a voicemail, if you have any questions or comments, call 682-253-4468. Thanks again for listening. Let's get into spoilers. Spoilers! I had cereal right before we started recording, and then it just fucks up my mucus. And it's just like, don't drink milk before
Kids,
you start recording.
Don't do milk.
First off, I want to talk about my ad. What is it about interdimensional portals in movies where it's always worse?
Yeah, well, I mean...
Do you ever see like an interdimensional portal where you look on the other side and like, hey, look, everyone's fed in the world and there's world peace and I'm much happier and wealthier?
Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, everything.
Just once.
It's like when Homer gets that time-traveling toaster and he keeps on heading into different dimensions and they keep getting more and more messed up, and then he gets to that one where he's rich and...
Pass me the donuts. What are donuts?
What are donuts? And then he runs away and then it starts raining donuts.
Oh, it's raining again. Yeah, I guess that's the one circumstance in which it's better.
Simpsons did it.
Man, that'd be a great movie idea. Have a interdimensional portal open up and it's like better in every single way, and you like kill yourself in that dimension and then you fuck up the entire world.
Hell yeah.
Just by your presence.
Well, I mean, that's just another dimension just folding in on itself.
Right.
None of it really matters.
Right. Anyways,
speaking of none of it really matters, this movie is super nihilistic. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's dark, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's not. I don't think it's really there until the very end where it really seals the deal.
Well, the whole thing is, I mean, it's so macabre in its approach toward like religion. I mean,
well, yeah, it's not heavy-handed when it comes to
it's like,
religion.
Here's your options: be religious and be an asshole, and be fine, or be religious and be like, I think God's okay, and get eaten. Like the movie's constantly trying to prove how just callous and horrible the world is. Like, this is a very nihilistic movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not there's not a lot of hope throughout the movie, but I mean, this is the horror genre, so
yeah,
you know, it's not supposed to be sunshine and lollipops.
No, but somehow this doesn't manage to be a super dark feeling movie, you know? It kind of feels light and breezy up until the end.
Right. I mean, it feels like a regular, you know, tonal movie until the very end. Then it's like, fuck you. Yeah. But, yeah, so the movie starts out with this big storm, breaks the guy's house, you know, the character that Thomas Jane plays. Hold on. David Drayton's house. David. Wow, that's a hard one to remember. And his boathouse is flattened by his neighbor's tree that fell down. And it starts out like impressively believable in how this family acts and how like it treats these neighbor disputes.
I love this.
Super passive aggressive.
It's super passive aggressive, but also it doesn't commit to being douchey, right? So it sets up this expectation of like, oh well, the thing fell on our our neighbor's tree fell on our boathouse. Like, a super first world problem, by the way. Like, oh no, a tree fell on our boathouse. Okay.
It's a horrible boating accident.
And they're like, well, good luck getting any money out of him. And it kind of establishes that their neighbor sued them last year. And I
can't remember. Did it say what he sued him about?
I don't recall. But I do know that it sets you up as the audience to be like, oh, this guy's a real jerk. And then he goes over, talks to him a little bit, and he turns out to be a real jerk. But then,
well, I mean, you see, that's one of the best parts is that he goes over to talk to him, and you can see the hackles are already risen.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, this fucking guy. But it's not ever. I mean, I see more extreme neighbor interactions on TikTok.
Sure.
Of just like insane neighbors. This is a pretty run of the mill asshole neighbor interaction.
But yeah, but not even only that. So the hackles are risen at the start, but then he acts like a regular person. He's like, hey man, hey, your car got totaled. I'm sorry about that. And then boom, the wall is down. And they're both like, they're just two guys being like, okay, cool. Let's work together to like get through this.
Right.
And the fact that they don't go hard into this, like, I'm an asshole, that's my character. That's, and they stick to that kind of thing. Everybody, with the exception of the religious lady, is multifaceted and a real person.
Right. Yeah, the one place where it goes heavy-handed is the religious lady.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you accept it because it's a movie, It's like, we got to add something to this, and there's a shorthand that you can use to kind of create drama.
Yeah.
So they're sitting there after the storm, and there's a brief moment where they look over the lake and there's mist on the lake. And I love how they treated this too, because it's like, mist, huh? Like, where do you think that comes from? And it goes like one beat further than a normal person would take it. And the guy's like, what am I, a weatherman? Like, why are we talking about this mist so much? It's a mist.
Yeah.
Anyways, to town we go.
Look at that. Okay, bye.
And there's like, they talk briefly about this military base in the mountains where there's rumors surrounding it. There's a mysterious project, and people are talking about UFOs and aliens and conspiracy theories.
It's such a throwaway line while they're in the car. He's like, do you know anything about this military base? What do they do up there? And he's like, oh, open portals to other dimensions. And it's so throwaway that I didn't even catch it. And I've seen the movie multiple times.
Oh, was that one of the things that he threw out?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they get to the store, and the setup happens pretty quick. Like they get to the store, lots of townspeople are there. They're all shopping for supplies.
It's all very believable setup.
Right.
It's all very believable.
Yeah, it's all normal everyday life,
which we can probably credit to Stephen King, right?
Right. And then all of a sudden, there's chaos outside, and the character Dan Miller runs in with a bloody nose as the harbinger, and this is another, like, I don't know, it's a great way to set it up. He just screams it out, something in the mist took John Lee.
Yeah.
And it's just this is the thesis statement of the movie. Like, there's something in the mist. That's all you have to know at this point. And we're going to hit it home. And I don't know, it works great for me. I was like, that's a pretty great device on how to set it up. Just your regular horror harbinger.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, every part of this is well done. And I didn't know that this was the director from Shawshank and from Green Mile until
and he wrote it too. So
until this watching,
Oh, really?
So this whole time I've been like, man, whoever did that? And then I look up. So last night I looked up his name and I was like, oh, that's not a recognizable name for a director. I wonder if he's done anything else. I was like, Shawshank Redemption. The Green Mile. Holy moly!
Yeah. So he adapted it himself. So he's the writer director of it.
Yeah.
And it's one of these situations where it's low key. This guy's just great at what he does, and probably doesn't get enough attention for how good he is at adapting Stephen King stuff.
I'm sure he gets invited over to dinner at Stephen King's house.
Right. Well, did you know that Stephen King's policy on selling rights to like short stories?
It's probably yes.
I don't know if there's a caveat where you have to be like a new film director or something, but he will sell you the rights to any short story for like $1.
That's what I said.
If you adapt it.
What did I say?
Okay.
Yeah, no, look, I have a lot of, I don't enjoy Stephen King, or his writing necessarily. I do really love his work ethic and his take on art, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, just do it. Just do the thing.
Right.
Just do that. And it's like, and he doesn't stand in the way of people taking his work, it's like, no, do it. Yeah, it's going to be great. And if it isn't, fuck it. Who cares?
What's amazing is like, yeah, he just pumps out so much, but he's a great storyteller, obviously. Like, every time his work gets adapted, it's like, by Stephen King. Yeah. It's like, there's always kind of a seal of approval in the horror community of like, oh, this is Stephen King.
Yeah.
Also, it's kind of weird. It feels like every time I go on IMDb trivia that it always says like, Stephen King watched this movie and approved of it. Like, he thought it was very scary. There's so many movies where Stephen King, like, it's almost like Fangoria or some horror movie got like a dedicated
dude
journalist.
There, watching Stephen King watch things and be like, do you like it? And that little head tick means he didn't like it.
And he's just effusive with praise. I never heard like a trivia item where it's like, Stephen King thought this movie fucking sucked.
Right. Yeah, I don't think he does. I don't think he thinks many things suck.
Yeah. I just rewatched Misery on HBO, and it's like
crushingly good.
Yeah. Anyway, so the Harbinger comes, and then the mist rolls in a pretty great scene, and people are running away from it. You don't know why, but like if you're shit. I won't say that. Whoa. If you ever see someone running towards you, the logical thing is just to run away with them.
Yeah.
Like you don't,
I got to be faster than this guy.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So the mist rolls in and all you hear is like screaming. And there's this real great moment where Billy, David's son, like just really believably shudders and like buries his head into his dad's shoulder. And there's like a lot of these little moments that are just like micro moments that really sell what's going on. And that was one of them, of like, oh, this is terrifying to this little kid. And no one knows what's going on, but they're like, I don't know why the mist is bad, but I'm not going to go out there.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to comment on why I'm not going out there.
Yeah, you can go do that. My mind is racing, and of course, chauvinistic kind of tendencies are the first thing to get squashed. When the generator in the back starts having some problems, and the fellas all head back there, and they're like, "Oh, I just gotta." Well, it's the exhaust is covered by something.
Mm-hmm.
Which implies a few things. Like, number one, that something is covering the exhaust.
Something's in the mist.
Something's up there. Like, on top of the building,
right,
covering the exhaust. Which, once you get further into the movie and you look back at this, you're like, oh, so there's some intelligence there.
Mm-hmm.
Or something.
Yeah.
But then also, they're like, hey, don't be a pussy. Get out there and do it. Do the thing. And the kid's like, yeah, I'm going to fucking do the thing. Shut up. It was my idea. I want to go do the thing. I want to go do it. I want to go, remove the thing off the exhaust. And then you're like, dude, I don't think you get it. Maybe you shouldn't. Hey, shut up, pussy.
Remember all the screaming when the mist rolled in and then the sudden silence?
No? Oh, yeah. No, wait. Yeah, I do.
Well, I'm going to go out there and unblock this. So, yeah, they're in the back and they open up the rolling, what do you call that?
Yeah, the
rolling gateway.
Yeah, it's the folding door. Or
yeah, like a garage door kind of thing. Yeah. And I didn't know this until I read the trivia, but that effect where the mist was just staying outside of the door.
So cool.
That's practical.
Sure. Yeah, it looked practical to me. It looked like like a air pressure thing.
Yeah, it was like they just adjusted the temperature and air pressure enough to where it would just kind of have stasis.
They sit there. Yeah, it was very cool. Very cool.
It seems like a thing that, like, well, they just did that with CG. Right?
Yeah, I can see you thinking that right then, but immediately, if you were paying attention to the rest of the CG, you realized, oh, they were not capable of producing that level of high-quality CG.
Yeah, very quickly, they're approached by tentacles, a tentacle monster, and this kid is, like, brutally just... savaged and eaten up by the tentacle monster. And they're fighting tentacles and tentacles.
Yeah.
And they cut off one, so it's sitting there, and they close the door, and they're like, well,
we shan't be doing that again. And and they managed to cut off a piece of tentacle.
Right. Which
is,
to me is like, that should be the lead when you approach anyone else. Is like,
so I got a tentacle in the
come back here and look at this fucking tentacle.
Yeah, you don't start with an explanation of, well, the bag boy's dead. No, you go, there's a tentacle back here, and the bag boy's dead. Mm-hmm. But really, let's, like, what is this thing? Come look at this.
Because they try to convince David's neighbor, first of all, which I think the strategy was, he's a lawyer, he's smart, people will listen to him, so let's get him on our side. And they tell him what happens, and he's immediately like,
yeah, fuck you.
You think I'm an idiot? It's the most ridiculous, stupid story I've ever heard in my life. At which point I would say, okay, please come back and look at this tentacle that we cut off.
And they do.
But this is a movie, so they don't do that immediately.
No, not directly.
Right. One of the things I found out was that Frank Darabont wanted this to be in black and white, and that gives perspective. And I think it says on the 2-disc
that would have been
DVD
better.
Blu-ray,
that would have been a much better move.
There is a black and white version, and I look at it, I'm like, wow, this would have. This is one of those rare occasions where it would have 100% worked.
It would have ripped, man. That I want to see that version be the real version of the movie.
Right, because you look at like the dated CG, and you know, if it's in black and white, it really masks.
It would crush it.
The like color shift.
Yeah.
That like never quite fits the light refractory that's like, well, that's not really there.
It would give an air of classiness to the indoor scenes, and then it would just it's already the way the outdoor scenes are. It's all on grayscale anyway, you know. It's like a something in the mist, which is something gray looming, you know. Right,
and there's just associations with black and white monster movies to where it's just like, oh, this feels right. Yeah. I mean, think about like Frankenstein or Creature from the Black Lagoon or anything where there's, you know, monsters about in classic horror.
Yeah.
It just feels right seeing it in black and white.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I would love to see this movie in black and white.
Yeah. And I think that's just kind of one of the compromises that he had to make with the production company. So originally Darabont went to, I don't know if it was Paramount, someone. He was trying to get $30 million for this movie, or he was offered $30 million to make this movie, but the one caveat was that he would have to change the ending of the script. And that was a non-starter. Because that's like the whole point.
Yeah.
Is the ending of this movie.
Yeah.
And I really respect Frank Darabont for like sticking to his guns and saying like, no, this is very, very important, this ending.
Yeah.
Do you know how the Stephen King novella ends?
No.
So it's only implied. So in the novella, it basically says that the difference is he's in the car with 4 people, including himself, instead of 5. And he just states like, and if, you know, something goes wrong, you know, we do have these 3 bullets, and then they just drive off into the mist, and that's the end. So you're never told. And so Frank Darabont like just looks at that and like, no, we're going to take this to the darkest possible place that is implied and show it. And so he decided not to take the $30 million. And then he got half that amount from the Weinsteins.
Well, that's problematic.
Yeah. With the, stipulation that no matter what, he was not going to change the ending. But he was going to do it with, half the money, which is kind of impressive because I almost wonder, like, what would that other $15 million gone into? Because it works so well as it is.
I mean, it gone into marketing. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Because I don't think this was a huge smash.
Yeah. So, that's all great. Pretty quickly, the society within this grocery store devolves, especially because of this one religious lady. And it's even set up that everyone's like, I don't know if you out-of-towners realize, but this lady is just the town crazy.
She's just the worst.
Yeah.
She's just the worst.
And, again, this is where it gets heavy-handed to where, it's talking about how, if you scare people enough, you can convince them to do anything. So they're all terrified. They feel hopeless. And if you have one person that's super competent and has all the answers, quote unquote.
They even say this.
Yeah.
They even mention this in the I love every aspect of this movie because they really lay it all out. And they're all multifaceted with the exception of the religious lady. Like the dude who called David a pussy at the start. He's like, no, fuck you. Hey, whoa, hey, you better count your teeth every time you think about questioning me, motherfucker. Like, immediately, once he's proved wrong and there's a thing in the mist, he's like, oh, shit, I am on your side, buddy. I am sorry I ever questioned you. This thing where characters aren't committed as characters, except for the religious lady. And then this thing where they go, and the real reason I love this movie is because it plays to the thing I'm most scared of, which is society crumbling.
I know. I was watching this and I was like, this is right up David's alley.
Oh, it's exactly true. This is exactly how something like this would work.
I mean, it's even quotes specifically like words that I've heard you say.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, you take away the power and food after a couple days.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
It's literally kill or be killed.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you have something I want. Or, even worse, I need to eat you. Like, things get crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And society, there's a very thin veneer that's between us and nuts.
Yeah, I think probably the least believable thing about this movie is how quickly people join up to this religious lady's side. There's not a lot of in between, okay, this lady's crazy, and then sorry about that, and then eventually working people over it. I mean, it kind of does. It does it in shorthand, but it is pretty extreme. Of it's the same thing with The Shining, where they're there alone for 3 days, and then he goes insane.
Right.
It's like they've been there a week. Are you really going to go insane that quickly from, isolation?
Right.
Probably not, but it's more interesting if you do.
All of that is just, I mean, it's just like it's a question of time passage.
Right.
And it's like, who cares?
Right.
To me, I just go, okay, well, a week has passed or something like that. Can we just skip all that?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
to the point.
It's fine. We're watching a movie, and it's very obvious that we're watching a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
The
realism is there just to give credibility and to, give the table stakes of suspending your disbelief for a little bit.
Right.
And then it delivers. So eventually, there's two factions. There's several times where there's two factions.
Yeah,
First is the people that believe something's in the mist versus those that don't, which is questionable because if you don't believe anything's in the mist, why would you stay in there for any length of time at all?
And the answer is you don't want to believe there's things in the mist, but you do believe there's things in the mist. So it's just like you're just trying to delude yourself and argue against people. No, it's not bad.
Right.
It's just not good.
Right.
It's like, no, it's bad.
So so then a faction including the neighbor decide that like, fuck this store. We're going to go out in the mist. You guys are all deluded. There's nothing there's nothing out there. Bye. And then one of them is like, I can make it to this guy's truck to get a shotgun and be back.
Guy.
And there's this moment where they're like, here we go. We'll just tie this rope to me, and, we'll make it. We'll see how far out I can make it.
Yeah.
How far out it's safe. And that's a great like device because of course, exactly what's going to happen.
I mean, you do. I constantly hold out hope.
Yeah.
I'm always like, maybe the T-Rex won't eat him this time. Like
maybe the guy just takes a shit and he's fine.
Right. Yeah. Maybe he's just sitting in the hut and the lawyer makes it.
There's a great Crocodile Dundee-esque moment where the little guy takes out his pocket knife and is like, here, take this. And the guy takes out his like giant Bowie knife.
And they don't say anything about it. There's just a look that's like, oh.
Right.
Yeah. Who's your favorite character in this? I'm sorry. I'll ask this question after you finish wrapping up this scene.
So yeah, so he takes out his knife and so he's ready to go, and then they string him out. He makes it something like 200 feet out there, and then all of a sudden the rope like instantly
goes up into the air
through their hands.
The rope goes up to like a 45-degree angle, and you're like, whoa, what?
And it's getting like just it would be like if you threw out a piano from a airplane and we're trying to hold on to a 1/4-inch nylon rope.
It's like when Jaws grabs the hook.
Yeah.
And just
and then this is the one part where like it ruins my suspension of disbelief.
Oh.
Moments like this to where I'm like, okay, there's this huge coil of rope that's uncoiling and going through people's hands, and I'm like, does no one know how leverage works? Like, wrap that around something.
Oh.
Wrap it around a pole.
Yeah, tie the end to something.
Yeah. It's like, does no one know what a pulley is? Anyways.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I don't think they, the counter to that is...
It's in the moment.
Well, they didn't know. Like, how could they have known what the stakes were?
Right. Well, I mean, even I'm just saying, like, if the rope is, like, increasingly getting pulled through the door, someone in the store should look at that coil of rope and be like, I should probably just wrap this around one of these checkout poles.
And finally, they get a hold of the rope. They get it under control, and they pull it back.
Yeah. And it's just, completely covered with blood once they get to the end of it.
And it's the dude's lower
half.
Yeah, it's his balls and butt.
Yeah.
And his legs.
The most important part. The most important part survived.
Yeah, he's okay. We'll grow back as all the rest of that. Who's your favorite character in this movie?
Yeah, that's kind of hard to say. I mean, the obvious one is David Drayton, the protagonist.
Sure, that's the obvious one, but I'm not talking about him.
I really like Ollie Weeks, the little guy.
I love Ollie Weeks.
Yeah,
I love him, the little grocery store attendant dude, because he's got so many things you don't know about him.
Yeah,
he's a secret badass.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I was target sharpshooter,
state champion back in '94, and so he wields the little 38 special, and to astonishing.
Yeah, it's like if Piglet was Rambo.
Yeah, it's badass. You're like, and he's rational and he's calm, and but he drinks a beer with the boys. When it's like when shit gets real, he's like, I need a drink.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this fella in other stuff.
Oh, he's he's in a lot of stuff. Toby Jones, I recognized him. Toby Jones is the actor. He was in like the Captain America movies as one of the villains, the Dr. Zola.
Okay.
But he's like a character actor that's in lots of stuff.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
You know, he's in a lot of like British stuff, but you might recognize him from Captain America. I guess he was the voice of Dobby in Harry Potter.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, he's got a huge list of roles. But yeah, he's probably like the most interesting character of like, yeah, just kind of an unassuming guy. You assume it's going to be this, you know, wallflower type character. Of
Yeah.
like, oh, he's a little guy.
Yeah. And he is, but he's more than that, right? You know, just
Right.
like a normal person would be.
Right.
You make assumptions about who someone is and what they are, and it's, to an extent, you're right.
Yeah.
But also you're missing a whole person, and he's a whole person. I love that.
Yeah. Kind of the next shift is it's at night and they're like, you know, the power is out, so they've got all these flashlights and stuff, and all of a sudden these bugs start flying into the window, these giant, like, torso-sized
mosquitoes,
wasps.
Yeah. Wasps,
because they've got like stingers. It's like a wasp/scorpion hybrid insect.
Yeah, it's very creepy.
And it reminded me of the moth joke. Did you ever see the Norm Macdonald moth joke? It's like a street joke, but Norm did a really famous version on Conan.
Yeah, I vaguely remember this.
Should I tell it?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I don't know. Can you do you think you can pull it off?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a wasp walks into the podiatrist's office.
Okay.
No. Yeah, podiatrist's office.
A foot doctor.
Uh-huh. And the doctor says, "So what can I help you with?" And the moth goes, "Oh, doc."
The wasp says.
The moth.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. The moth says, like, "Doc, I'm doing real bad. Real bad. I just lost my son in the war, and my wife, she seems like a stranger to me. I no longer love her. And my daughter, she has no respect for me. She just sees me as a husk of a man. And I just go to work and go through the motions. I don't know what my life is about. I look at my ambitions and what I wanted to be and look at what I am now, and I don't recognize the man in the mirror." And so Norm goes on for like another 10 minutes of this.
It's sad.
And so I'll cut it short. The podiatrist goes, "Wow, I mean, that sounds awful. I feel real bad for you, but I mean, I gotta ask you a question. Like, why did you come to me? You should go see a therapist." And the moth says, "The light was on." So it's like they're sitting there like shining flashlights through the window, and all these insects are starting to like jump onto the window, and I'm like, do people not know how insects work?
I know.
Stop shining the fucking light out the window.
If Bryce had been in this grocery store, he'd tell this 10-minute long moth joke while they're being inundated with moths.
Yeah.
He'd been like, "Did you never hear the moth joke?"
So yeah, they make all the wrong decisions and turn on like all the lights, like turn on the generator and turn on these giant like floodlights, and they're like, "This'll help.
We got it." It seems like
we got to make sure we can see these bugs.
Seems like they like the light.
And so,
and the wasps attract bird-like creatures that are like here to eat the wasps.
Watch for wasps.
Watch for wasps.
Oh, I should get that clip. Damn, why didn't I think of that?
I'll pull it up. Here, you go ahead.
Watch for wasps. So, yeah, then bigger bugs, bigger flying things fly into the window and break through, and then there's just birds. Utter chaos. And I love you don't see this very often. There's two things that happen in this movie that I don't think I've ever seen, which is the guy that like is going to use like a flaming stick and just immediately catches on fire. He's like, how do I hold this gasoline? And he like falls down and immediately gets consumed by fire and, runs away. And that's like
that's the thing that actually happened.
Right. That's kind of interesting because it's kind of like quicksand where you're like, I kind of assume that this exists way more than it does just from movies and TV. Like, it's pretty rare that you're going to get caught in quicksand. It felt like it was inevitable when you're a kid.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with like people engulfed in flame running away. It's like, that seems like that's an everyday occurrence according to movies.
Well, according to crazy fucking videos on Reddit, that happens all the time. Just dummies lighting themselves on fire, lighting their drink on fire or something like that. And then
right.
Just being engulfed in flame.
Yeah, there's one thing where you're like, yeah, your face is engulfed in flame from alcohol that you like are too drunk to respect. But then there's like entirely engulfed in flame. And I think the answer is like, that's a thing that stunt people do.
Yeah.
You just hire them to do that.
Yeah.
Well, you cover them in goo. Make sure they don't actually burn on fire. But the one difference that this movie has that I don't think I've seen in any other movie is that guy that's engulfed in flame, he survives and you see him later horribly burned and mutilated.
That was a bad idea.
It's usually just like the guy on fire, like waving his arms up and down, and then he just walks out of camera and you never see him again. Well, this time you're like, hey, you know that people that are engulfed in flame, that's a horrible, horrible death?
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah.
Look at them burned.
And that's a real good point. Like, all the bad ideas in that they have in this movie are shown to be bad ideas.
Right.
It's not like you get away with just blasting. Like, I started blasting. You filled a mop container full of kerosene. And that's a fucking horrible idea.
People. Yeah, that's the one thing that really helps with your enjoyment of movies. If you watch like actual videos of people being extremely dumb, you're like, oh yeah, that's
dumb.
That's dumb. Like, I would never do that because I have, at least a median intelligence.
Right.
But you watch on crazy fucking videos the lady filling a grocery bag with gas
and then tying it together and putting it in her trunk,
and it's obviously like leaking right out of the bottom from a hole.
Here's a little clip that'll teach you how to watch for wasps. This is from Your Mom's House.
Here you go.
I just want to let all y'all know out there, watch for wasps because they'll sting you and then you look like me. But it's hot today, so make sure you drink water.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Watch for wasps.
Yeah, this dude's face is super swollen.
Yeah, he looks like a Whovillian.
Watch for wasps. Drink water.
That's probably the best part of Your Mom's House is when they review like the TikTok videos.
Oh yeah,
they just have the most crazy people there. So yeah, the one important thing that happens during this invasion of the insects is that the religious lady like basically prays to God while one of these wasps is on her, and it just goes free. Like, it doesn't sting her at all, which adds like a certain level of uncertainty of like, well, what does that mean?
Wait a minute. How's this work? Yeah, suddenly, coincidence is chalked up to, divine intervention from God. And
we're watching a movie, so it's like, well, maybe that's the point.
Right.
Maybe the lady is right.
Right.
But no, she's not, because she's portrayed as, the evil villain. And eventually, it really seals the deal when she's demanding human sacrifice.
There's some real great...
That's the other thing is like, it takes 2 days before they start getting a mob demanding human sacrifice. Like, I get what you're doing, but yeah, that wouldn't really happen, would it?
I mean, it's my contention that it's not far from the truth. You know, I mean, 3 days, you know, like, okay, maybe not 2, but maybe 3. Yeah, and it depends on who's there. You know, I mean, some people are truly unbearable.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you are stuck in a certain place with a certain person, it might only take 8 hours for you to become homicidal.
Right.
You know, look at the one of the last places we worked.
Yeah, but we stayed there for so long.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay, so this is the moment. There's several moments in this movie where I'm like, it's great, but also you see these characters go, all right. So everyone that goes out there never returns. Get this. What if we go out there?
What if we go?
Also, they're attracted to light, so let's make sure to take flashlights.
Let's turn on our Toyota Land Cruiser with 13 lights on the front of it.
But they go first to the pharmacy to like get, you know, what do you call it?
Yeah, medicine.
Antibiotics.
Yeah, medicine. I love the creature design on these spiders.
Yeah.
It's particularly the webs that they shoot, and it falls just like a web would.
Yeah.
But it's like horrifically toxic. It's like alien blood.
Yeah, alien blood. Xenomorph blood. So, yeah, I mean, that's the one moment where I'm like, just everyone witnesses how horrible this mist is, and they just eventually gets to a point where they're like, yeah, so let's go out there in the mist. Get this. How about we just go out there? And that's like the plan. There's not really anything else other than, no, we can probably make it.
Well, I mean, I chalk that up to like, I don't want to be around anything's better than being around this bitch anymore.
Right. You know? Yeah, there's that. So, I don't remember what this bullet point is. I wrote down, I hear something fucking, I think that's a quote. I hear something fucking weird.
Something fucking weird out there.
Which is great. I always have to point out the spear moment.
Yeah.
In movies.
Well, you do, because they're few and far between, you know?
Yeah. But they're always super effective. Like, because there's things with stingers coming in or knives, and the guy with the spear keeps them at a distance.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he does.
And they're amateurs.
I mean,
with little experience holding spears, but it's super effective.
Look, I will concede that, you know, a spear is a good weapon in certain circumstances. You know, when you're fighting off big singular monsters like a giant spider, it works. And if they're kind of like, you know, crawling around, but if you got like, I don't know, you know, if you got zombies, I just think a bat's a better option and more ubiquitous.
So eventually they make it back. Like every time they go out, they lose half the people that go with them. It's like, again, they're like, okay, so it didn't work out last time,
but this time.
But what if we go out into the mist?
You get a dog with an untwistable stomach.
So, finally David like recruits he takes his son and 4 other people, and they run out to his Bronco, and of course lose half the people in the process. And they there's a Land Cruiser. What did you say it was?
It's a Land Cruiser.
Out to his Land Cruiser with 1 billion lights on it and start driving away.
It's an awesome truck. They
go to his house and find out that his wife died, which is not really a shocking revelation. And then decide to go like, well, let's just start driving. Let's see how far this gas tank gets us.
Yeah.
And they drive until they go on empty. There's a real great like Jurassic Park moment where the giant Leviathan walks by, and I had the Jurassic Park theme in my head.
Yeah. They do move in herds. And then you're like,
I just want to let all y'all know out there, Watch for Waspis.
Watch for Waspis. Yeah, that was the one moment where I was semi-disappointed in the creature design of that giant beast.
Really?
I was like, I don't know. Like, it had, like, tentacles like teats.
Yeah, it
just
had,
hanging
like,
off of it.
Phalanges coming off of the bottom. I love that moment. That moment that's the crowning achievement of this movie. Yeah. It's like a fucking Blue Oyster Cult cover. It's just crazy. It's just bonkers. You're like, what?
More cowbell.
You're like, oh, what the fuck is that? And then you're like, oh, it's a Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah, it's a great moment. And then they're sitting in this truck, and the ending. This is like probably what this movie is most known for, is the ending. Because I know going into it, I knew the ending, and I just assumed the entire movie was going to be a mysterious mist, and they don't really ever know what's out there.
One of the most crushing endings.
Yeah.
I mean, like this, so much about the ending of this movie reminds me of Apocalypse Now. Everything about it, like the flamethrowers, the desperation, like the total like loss of faith in humanity, like just like, oh
yeah,
it can be good for other people, not for us,
right?
Like it's bad now.
Yeah.
Things are bad.
So yeah, what happens if you don't know? Is they have the gun with them and enough bullets to kill all of them but one, and so David decides that he'll be the one that shoots everyone, and he'll figure out, how to kill himself.
Including his son.
Including the son. I mean, his son first. And that's like, oh God, they really sell this moment as like, as stark and like nihilistic as they could possibly make it, because you're shown the kid like waking up and looking towards his father, which is like holding a gun towards him. Imagine waking up and seeing your dad pointing a gun at your head. And then
for me, that's pretty believable.
And then it goes to the outside, and you just see like the muzzle flashes and the sound. And Thomas Jane, the guy that plays David, just really sells this moment. This is like done perfectly. Like the despair
really crushes your soul.
Yeah, the despair and just like regret and like all of that is sold 100%. And he gets out of the car and he's like, come get me, you motherfuckers. And they don't. And then all of a sudden, squeak, 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 tank rolls up, and the mist like pretty much immediately dissipates. The military has like
they've got
torched all the nests and stuff, and
demystify everything.
Yeah. And and so he's just left there. His wife's dead. He just killed his son. Like at that point, I'd just throw myself underneath the tank trucks.
Oh my God, are you kidding? It would be like,
yeah. So it's pretty intense, the end of the movie, and it really puts a cap on it.
Go out there, watch for Waspis.
So who would like this movie?
Like I said, I think this really opens itself up to a pretty wide audience. I think if you like The Green Mile, if you like Shawshank, this is easy breezy, good movie. Not easy breezy necessarily, but it's an easy choice. It's challenging in the same ways as Green Mile and Shawshank. It focuses on humanity at its worst and at its best. And that's the human condition is the thing that I enjoy most about horror movies, is looking at it through a lens of the extremes. So
yeah. All right, moving on. Let's go to our game. Don't blank on the blank. So this game is based on the fact that so many horror movies are just 2-word titles.
The Mist.
The something.
Yeah.
The Mist.
The Others.
Yeah. The Thing.
Yeah.
So You get half of the title.
The Blob.
Oh. And you have to guess the other half based on the description.
Okay.
So we got 10.
Wow. Okay.
But these should go quick. All right. Number 1.
Just 1 point per.
1 point per.
Okay.
No way to get an extra point.
Okay.
Okay. 12 strangers wake up in a clearing. They don't know where they are or how they got there. They don't know they've been chosen for a very specific purpose. The Hunt.
Is it The Hunt?
Yeah. I didn't read all these. Number 2. 1 for 1.
Yay.
An ancient Egyptian princess is awakened from her crypt beneath the desert, bringing with her malevolence grown over millennia and terrors that defy human comprehension.
Is it The Mummy?
Yes. Okay. Soon after a stranger...
Is that the Tom Cruise one?
That's the Tom Cruise one.
Yeah.
Soon after a stranger arrives in a little village, a mysterious sickness starts spreading. A policeman drawn into the incident is forced to solve the mystery in order to save his daughter.
Okay, go slower. Read that one again.
Soon after a stranger arrives in a little village, a mysterious sickness starts spreading. A policeman drawn into the incident is forced to solve the mystery in order to save his daughter.
And there's only 2 letters, 2 words in there.
The blank. I'll give you a clue. It's a foreign film.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it feels kind of like The Wicker Man, but I know it ain't. The Sickness?
The Wailing.
Oh, okay.
I think that's from Korea?
2 for 3.
Yeah. Okay. A woman who lives in her darkened old family house with her 2 photosensitive children becomes convinced that the home is haunted.
Wait, is that from North Korea or South Korea? The Wailing, is that?
I'm pretty sure it's South. If it was North, it would have something about the glorious leader.
So a lady in a house with photosensitive children, that's got to be The Others.
Correct.
Nicole Kidman.
All right. 3 for 4.
Yes.
Right, so you're doing good.
Yeah.
A monster emerges from Seoul's Han River and begins attacking people. One victim's loving family does what it can to rescue her from its clutches.
Okay. Oh man, I can think of the poster of this. Another Korean movie, questionable about North or South.
Well, Seoul is in South Korea.
Yeah, but it might be the North Koreans trying.
Could be North Seoul
trying to portray the South.
Right.
Like
these are the horrors that present you if you leave our glorious leader.
Oh no, capitalism, run!
The capitalist.
I everything about this is on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Give up.
Yeah.
The Host.
I never would have gotten that. So good. 3 for 5.
Okay. Yeah, most of these are pretty easy, and I think it gets hard now. Well, after this one, it gets hard. Okay. Mysterious deaths surround an American ambassador. Could the child that he is raising actually be the Antichrist, the devil's own son?
This has got to be The Omen.
Correct.
Okay.
4. Okay, so you only need to get 2 more to win.
Okay.
A fortune teller with extrasensory perception is asked to help find a young woman who has mysteriously disappeared.
A fortune teller with extrasensory perception is asked to help find a young woman who went missing?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I get.
Yep.
I'm going to buy for time here. Can you read it one more time?
A fortune teller with extrasensory perception is asked to help find a young woman who has mysteriously disappeared.
Wow, bravo.
That's the fun thing about these is how innocuous the titles are.
Is this a popular movie? Is this one I would recall?
I mean, I recognize the title. I don't know how popular it was. It came out in 2000.
I'm going to say The Missing.
The Gift.
Damn.
This one's impossible.
Oh dear.
So you're at 5 right now.
I'm at 4.
I thought The Omen put you at 5.
That put me at 4.
Oh, okay, 4. Okay. In a small town in Arizona, a mysterious man/spirit descends from the sky and manifests in a sports car and targets local violent road racing gang of motorheads. Headed by a ruthless bully who'll do anything to get what he wants.
Is this one about a car?
I mean, it says he manifests in a sports car. I'll give you a clue. It's 1986.
And I've likely not heard of this.
Likely.
The sports car.
The Wraith.
Oh, I wouldn't have gotten
Yeah,
it.
there's no possible way. A deadly entity from space crashes near a small town and begins consuming everyone in its path. Panic ensues as shady government scientists try to contain the horrific creature.
Gotta be the Blob.
Wow, you got it.
Bingo.
The Blob. I thought that one was going to be super vague, but consuming is the key, I guess.
Yeah, I know. And the shady scientists.
All right, so this is your last chance to win. You're at 5.
I mean, technically, we should stop at 9 because that's an odd number. So, but yeah, go ahead.
After a strange and insecure plane crash, an unusual...
Insecure?
Yeah, insecure. That's a weird... Strange and insecure plane crash. An unusual toxic virus enters a quaint farming town. A young couple are quarantined, but they fight for survival along with help from a couple of people.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is The Crazies.
You got it!
Hey.
You win! Ding, 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 ding!
Hooray.
All right, so that was Don't Blank on the Blank.
I did good.
All right, so let's move on to our voicemail.
Let's do it. And if you guys would like to get a hold of the show, you can call us at 682 some other numbers. So yeah, 682-253-4468. Here is horror movie.
Whoore.
All right, this one we'll listen.
This is Brendan from Las Vegas. So I've been watching a lot of movies related to cannibalism lately, and I read a story. Medical purposes, and he decided to cook it and serve it to some willing friends. And so my question to you guys is, would you guys be willing to eat your own foot or your friend's foot or any part of the body for that matter, served properly?
All right,
Good rock. Have a great day.
So yeah, to fill in the blanks, there's a little bit of a connection issue, but I gathered what he was saying. So
that's Brendan from Las Vegas?
Yeah, Brendan from Las Vegas says there's a story where a guy had to amputate his foot for medical reasons, and then he cooked it and prepared it and served it to his friends. They're all willing, I assume. So the question is, would you eat your or a friend's foot if it was prepared by like a chef? Seasoned perfectly.
What do you think?
I'd say no, mostly because it's a foot. Like if we were talking about like a thigh, yeah, I could get into that.
You're joking.
I mean, a foot. It's like, have you ever had bones?
I mean, okay.
Like where it's like eating like a pig snout.
Let's say you turn it
like,
into
okay.
a stew, you know?
Yeah. Are you the type of person that eats pig's feet?
No, look.
You know,
Look, you just boil it.
It's just too much cartilage and
boil
and
the
bones for
marrow
me.
out of it and make it into a stew. Then would you eat it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Definitely.
Okay. See, I think I would actually have a problem with my own foot, my own body part. Although if I was,
that's how you get mad human disease, by the way.
You know, my aunt died of mad elk disease, so I don't appreciate you just making light of this.
Is it mad elk? I thought it was mad cow. Is there mad different species of diseases that I don't know about?
Yeah, it's the elk variant of... Anywho.
I'm not making light of it. I'm saying it's a serious issue that we should be concerned about.
Well, yeah, I think there'd be some sort of weird mental block about eating my own foot or butt or something like that. But I would definitely eat yours or someone else's.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Next call.
Hey guys, it's Josh from Canada calling. I was just listening to the Afterpod for Raccoon City, and it was really nice to hear you guys open up and be honest and be emotional. Just about everything. And it really kind of hit home for me. 3 weeks ago, my father-in-law killed himself. And we've sort of been dealing with the ramifications from that around Christmas. And my partner is just sort of beginning counseling and therapy sessions for that. And it's just really reassuring, Bryce, to hear you talk so openly and candidly about how it can maybe not make things better, but maybe make them a little easier and a little easier to understand. So anyway, I'm just trying to keep it together here. And I'm hoping you guys are able to do the same. And thanks for everything you do. You guys are really awesome.
Well, I can't make fun of his accent now.
Jesus. Josh, thank you so much for calling, and I hope you guys are doing better. I mean, it's just a devastating thing, and it's one of those things that's not... that kind of thing you don't get over.
No.
It's like the best you can hope for is getting to a point where it's not dominating your thoughts.
Yeah, life becomes vaguely normal again. Yeah, I mean, well, it's not to say you don't get over it. You get over it. It's never the same, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you're a different person now.
You gather strategies to like contextualize things and to accept things as opposed to being just reeling from the devastation of something like that. Yeah, I mean, one of the things we do for patrons is this Afterpod. That's like pretty much the main thing.
That's the big one.
That's the big one. And I mean, we usually after we record an episode, we would just talk with each other and catch up on lives and stuff. And so we decided, well, that's an easy thing to just leave the mics running. And it gets pretty deep sometimes.
Yeah, lately there's been a lot of heavy hitters. So
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of crying and hugging and like, we just really act like a bunch of pussies.
Yeah, and I mean, but that's I think that's why it resonates, is because people think it's not okay to be that way, to feel feelings and shit.
Yeah, and we get pretty vulnerable on it because we're best friends, and we care about each other and want to support each other and talk about this stuff. And yeah, one of the things that came up last week when we recorded the Afterpod was just basically therapy,
Yeah.
And that you don't fix everything.
No.
There's still things that are unresolved and like things you have to live with or memories or whatever, but you contextualize it and you're able to process them to a point where it's not dominating your mood or your thoughts. And I mean, I still think about my dad, and like he just had his birthday was 3 days ago, and it was one of those where it's like, oh man, I still think of how devastating the whole experience of his hospice was and doing that, and it's like, it is traumatic. It's one of those things where like I realize now, it's like, yeah, that was very traumatizing for me to witness. And like, it's not like, it's like an added level of grieving to where not just losing someone, but being close and there to witness the whole thing and being like super involved in the process of a loved one passing is kind of horrifying.
Yeah, and I think there's an element of when tragedy strikes, you mourn the loss of yourself. You know, you kind of go, I was this.
Yeah.
I had some level of innocence, and now it's gone from me.
Right.
But there's a part about getting older where you start to accept the changes more readily, and maybe not in the moment, Josh. You know, in the moment it's very difficult, but acceptance is go seek therapy for sure. Like if you can, please, you know, it's for your own good.
Yeah.
And you can't do it yourself. I mean, you can, but it'll be hard. It'll be unnecessarily hard. Let somebody else help you through it.
Yeah, it's one thing to talk about things to loved ones, but they also have like a relationship with you and concern for you to where there's always like a level of protection, you know, that both sides put up. If you talk to a therapist, they're like a true
agnostic
or passive listener that somehow really helps. And I'm sorry to hear that, Josh, and you know, we're sending love to you and your partner, and hope you guys get through this.
Next caller. Oops.
Hey Bryce, hey Dave, this is John from Colorado. Haven't called in a while, checking in. Two things. First off, you'd be surprised by this, but actually drought causes the most natural disaster and most human deaths compared to earthquakes or even sinkholes, because it leads to famine. Just saying.
Oh, drought.
And as for the Resident Evil review, which I just got done listening to the other day, I feel like the first one that they came out with Mila Jovovich was pretty good. If you take in the context as a prequel to the events of all the games. Me and my friends have that theory. Because it makes sense if it takes place before the games. Kind of deal. So, what are your thoughts on that? And two, natural disasters.
Okay, so
I'll catch you guys later.
I never contend that sinkholes are the most destructive or deadly natural disaster. I contend that sinkholes are the most terrifying natural disaster.
The body count is what makes natural disasters terrifying.
I don't know. I mean,
potential for destruction.
I mean,
this just boils down to like what you find scary. You know?
Well, yeah, but I mean, sure, you have the natural disaster of a drought and famine, but also that happens over a period of time, and you can, you know, not that it's not convenient,
you can acclimate.
inconvenient, but you can, you know, just leave and go somewhere where there's not a drought.
You can, you white cis male asshole.
Yeah, women can't move. So there's that. I mean, earthquake is something that's unavoidable and has widespread destruction. But like, you look at a tornado and you're like, there's something biblical about just seeing a funnel of clouds
Hell yeah.
sucking up the earth.
Hell yeah.
There's that. But even that, like, I think like just the level of terrifying and like, I don't want that to get me. I would say I would dread the tornado more than an earthquake.
That's fair, yeah.
On the same level,
yeah.
I find the sinkhole more terrifying than the tornado because there's no warning. You don't even see it coming off. There's no weather. The earth just opens up and consumes you. And then you're gone.
Maybe.
That's it.
Or you just land on top of the things you fell with and you're fine.
Did you see that TikTok I sent you? It was a while ago. It was a couple weeks ago. And we probably talked about this. This is probably what the thing was that he talked about. But the guy was just sleeping in his bed. And then the earth opens up and he gets sucked in. And his like brother hears him screaming from this hole. But they can't, even with the emergency vehicles, they can't get to him. They're like, this sinkhole is continually opening up. It's too dangerous. And then that's his grave now. And they covered it in concrete.
Delta P is scary. Did you see that video of on Crazy Fucking Videos of that guy in India knocking the pipe open? And then,
and
then, so there's just, the pipe is just full of high speed water.
Oh my God.
And it just the air pressure change just sucks him right in and he's gone.
Yeah.
He's just fucking there and then he's not. It's
like you exist and now you're potato cannon.
Right. It's so fast. It was like,
yeah,
gone. Yeah, that was genuinely horrifying. And imagining the ride he went on.
I just want to hope that you're immediately killed at that point.
Apart. You probably are.
Because the alternative is like you're heading like 70 miles per hour drowning. Whew. There's something about drowning at 70 miles per hour. It's supposed to be uniquely horrifying.
Extreme drowning! Are you going to drown or are you going to fucking drown, bro?
Oh, man. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, so I think
in regard
John
to the Resident Evil thing, who cares about it? Shut up.
I don't know if you caught it, but I think on Facebook, John mentioned how he was kind of regretful for these voicemails because he might have had a little drinky poo.
Okay. Well, before that, I will say I admire people who are able to watch movies like the first Resident Evil and then come up with theories about them.
Right.
Because your patience is through the roof. Your life must be very nice.
So I've got a whole headcanon about Ginger Dead Man.
Where Gary Busey just rapes all the actresses with him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Hey, Bryce. Hey, Dave. It's John from Colorado again. I just realized something. I'm re-listening to all the old podcasts, and it hit me at like midnight tonight. Dave predicted Corona in your unfriended dark web episode. Because he was talking about how you can order vampire bats off of the internet. Corona came from the internet, logic, weirdness, conspiracy theories. Dave, I'm watching you now. I'm just messing around. I'm just really tired, really weird, and re-listening to podcasts. I'm kind of crazy. Sorry for bothering you guys. I'm being weirdo. I'll let you go now.
Never apologize.
Just new boot goofing.
Just new boot goofing. Yeah, so apparently I somehow on the dark web review, which is like very early on. That's like
episode 6 or something?
Maybe 5 or 6 of the entire podcast. I somehow predicted the coronavirus.
He said that you are able to order vampire bats over the internet.
Oh.
Not sure how that predicts coronavirus, but, bats.
Yeah, I mean, coronavirus occurred from a lab leak from the Wuhan lab. That's no longer taboo to say. They've actually got a lot of stuff backing that up. So,
last one from one of our favorites.
Oh boy!
Hey, Bryce and David. It's Robert the Farter. So generally, I agree with your guys' scores and ratings for movies, but there's 2 exceptions. One, I think Ernest Scared Stupid was given too low of a score, but that was already explained. You already gave me the reasoning why. But the second one is, how could you give The Shining a 7? Seriously.
Yeah, Bryce.
I know that you gave it a 10, but I know that David gave it a 7.
No, I did not. I gave it a 10.
I'm just like...
How dare you?
How?
Yeah, David.
Seriously. People were telling... I've heard a lot about this movie before I saw it. I heard people say, oh, it's so good, it's so awesome, it's like the best horror movie ever and stuff. It's so good. And I saw it, and it 100% lived up to my expectations. I also read the book, so I know, like you, I also read the book. But, actually, yes, I did read the book. But, it is definitely a 10. It is definitely a 10. And I'm just gonna say, when you say that it doesn't answer your questions enough.
Yeah, Bryce.
I think that is legitimately for a reason. I think that Stanley Kubrick wanted it to be mysterious and not answer everything. It wanted you to be wondering, like, if you've ever seen 2001, I'm pretty sure you guys have, told me after you watched that you don't have questions. Like, literally, the ending is so weird. You're like, wait, what the just happened? And he did that with this movie. And it adds to the tension. This movie is creepy, and it's weird, and it's awesome. Anyways, Robert the Farter, I'm out.
Yeah, David, how could you give The Shining a 7?
I literally agree with everything Robert the Farter just got done saying, with the exception of the fact that he got you and me confused.
Right.
That's the only problem, is he thinks you're good and I'm bad, when in reality it's the reverse. I'm good, you're bad.
Yeah, I gave it a 7.
Defend yourself.
I stand by it. Like, Stanley Kubrick's, my main beef with Stanley Kubrick, there's a thread that runs through most of his movies, which is there's no humanity, and the storytelling aspect is just not the most important thing to him. It's more tone and visuals.
Ambiance.
Yeah, if you like the visceral or like the
mystery
or like the feels.
Yeah.
He's great for that. But if you want to know what's going on in a story, he's awful.
Well, yeah.
There's no
stories aren't meant to be known.
That's kind of the definition of a story.
Then explain Stanley Kubrick's stories, Bryce. Stupid.
That's the point. I can't.
Right.
I can't tell you what happened at the end of 2001 because he doesn't explain. And the problem is they're adaptations and they do have an explanation. And there is a point to them, and he just doesn't include it.
I have a question, Bryce. Why does a man who wears a shirt that says "Genius at Work" sit here and scrutinize a child's cartoon?
I retract my question. So, thank you, Robert the Farter, for calling in. Thanks everyone for calling in, and again, hope Josh you're feeling better this holiday season.
And don't if you need to reach out to us, if you want to talk. Yeah. We're here.
All right, we'll wrap it up. This was a really enjoyable film to watch and episode to record. So we'll see you on the flippity flop. Bye. Oh yeah. Also, we should probably plug a couple things. What do we usually say at the end?
Well, make sure to support us. You can head on over to Amazon. You can head on over to our website, horrormovietalk.com. Click through the link to Amazon. And then any money you spend on Amazon, we get a little piece of, and it's not insubstantial. So, help us out that way, or just become a patron, support us directly, and get access to a bunch of fabulous patron content, afterpods, exclusive reviews. You get a card in the mail with stickers and some show notes that we take. So
yeah, I mean a lot of these. We got a lot of shout outs to Patreon this episode. So afterpods, the fact that this is a patron voted episode. What was the other one that we mentioned?
I already mentioned them. I just
you don't have ads and whatnot. So thanks to patrons, especially our new patrons, Consta H and Amanda S, for joining on, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
We love you. Bye.
Looking for a podcast full of burps and gas, perverted cast, skinny and fat? Look no further. Horror Movie Talk is accidentally funny, begs to donate money, fake sponsors for dummies, and so much more. New episodes every hump day. They'll pickle your dickle for foreplay. Patreon members have it your way. Vote for a movie every month for the review. Chompa chompa, don't just stare at it, eat it like a taco. Put your tongue through the phone hoodie, Picasso. Look at them hot kids swearing not a pedo. Got me tooed with Cosby eating jello. Pudding Pops done gave Bryce flatulence. Drain addict Dave doesn't give a shit. 1 through 10, is it horrible or excellent? Oil me up, daddy, is dinner rum. Pretend kiss, Bryce Hansen. Look at them hot kids, Chris Henson. Masturbate with a crucifix, exorcist. Face huggers, chest bursters, alien. Linda Blair peed on Sigourney Weaver. I know know it's true, cause it came from social media. Patrick Bateman can't understand you. Stab you to death for rotten apple reviews. Opinionated podcaster with a doctorate. Spookology, doctor of philosophy. Bad gastritis, need colostomy. Turn Patreons into human centipedes. David Doobie Day, scare him, no expert. And Global Fucks hard, professional sexpert. Afterpods, taglines, and porno flicks. American Psycho, them guys pretty sick. Chopper chopper, don't just stare at it, eat it like a taco. Put your tongue through the phone, hoodie, Picasso. Look at them hot kids, swear not a pedo. Got me too'd with Cosby eating jello. Pudding pops done gave Bryce flatulence. Train addict Dave doesn't give a shit. 1 through 10, is it horrible or excellent? Oil me up, daddy, is dinner rubs. Nothing good happens in the woods. Always get more than you bargain for. Got a pickle to dickle, machines tickle bitties. Killer on the phone, ain't no Sharon Stone. Vancouver, Portland, Oregon, and organs. Corona, COVID, curse, Lorona. Green River Killer, because reasons. Hallway of poop monster kids screaming. Ain't your ordinary dingleberry itinerary. 30-day shutter and jump scares ain't fucking scary. Time for the spoilers with jokes and tropes. Use their white socks to catch their loads. Just show them one titty, pretty. Paganism you should worship, they Teflon dicks. Pacific Northwest, let them see one breast. Shifty eyes stay spooky, poor man's digress. Bugsy, HMT, horror movie talk. Hold on, they don't like Halloween. Fuck them.
Oh, you done it now, Jody Verrill? You monkhead.